It's the Health in the Real World podcast. It's time to start the show with Chris Janke as your host. Here to give you everything that you need when it comes to fitness strategies. We keep it simple and easy. It's your roadmap to get healthy. You don't need equipment and you don't need a gym. Just the right strategies to get you fit and trim. All right, we're here, Health in the Real World podcast. We're here today with Soren Harrison. Soren, what's going on?
Hello, Chris. How are you? Good to see you.
I'm doing good. Well, welcome back. This is your second appearance on the show.
That's right.
Today we might go all over. I think we're talking about what we should talk about, but we're starting out with, I think we agreed you need to have something left in the tank for tomorrow, and I think I would kind of pre-frame this by saying that the no pain, no gain philosophy. It's such a cliche now, no pain, no gain. And, we all kind of know what it means. You have to go hard enough to actually achieve some sort of results, but actual pain shouldn't be an ingredient in your fitness journey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think that what happens is that, and we can dig more into that, but also this keeps people from wanting to get in shape because they think that it has to be painful. They think that it's going to be something they don't like. And if they like it, then that means it's not working. But I think that does a huge disservice to the millions of people out there who, don't have goals to be, award-winning bodybuilders or don't have goals to be professional athletes or, whatever it is. And I think that prevents a lot of people from doing what they need to be healthy and what they need to do for their own longevity. And I see it a lot with dads for their kids. I think this no pain, no gain thing has a lot of pitfalls, despite some of the truth at its root, right?
Right. I started using this with my clients. I started saying no burn, no earn,
mm-hmm.
because it's a little more accurate and it rhymes. It's still catchy. And you do want to, especially if you're kind of lifting weights, right? It's not like you're chasing the burn necessarily, but there's going to be a little muscle burn, right? If you're doing it, again, at the adequate intensity. So,
yeah.
But I think that's huge. What you said is spot on. And there's, I think, sort of an all or nothing mentality, even for people who are not healthy or fit. It's like, there's almost this mindset that like, if I don't go in 100%, then I should just not even go in at all.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's not a good place to be. And I think a lot of that mentality is built on maybe the past, right? Like if I can't be as fit as I was in high school, why bother? When, there's nothing further from the truth, right? You can still, again, make progress. You can still live a life where you can pick up your kids. And again, you don't have to have the sizzling six pack and the bowling ball shoulders, and you can just be healthy, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I see a lot of the time, it is good at times to leave it on the floor, right? Like you mentioned, when you're younger, you said like, yeah, when you're 13, like go after it, right?
Yeah.
And you'll be able to walk the next day. But there are times to leave it all on the floor, but most of the time you need to be able to, do the same thing tomorrow, right? You need to be able to be consistent. You need to be able to keep it sustainable. And there is a time and there is a place to really push it, right? There is a time to feel that burn, like you said. But a lot of the time, I think, especially for dads who I serve, you really have to pay attention to tomorrow, a couple of days from now, next week. And consistency is the number one thing. Everyone says it, but then they recommend you do things that would keep you from being consistent, right? We've all seen the, gym fails, guy jumping on the box and eating it because, 2 boxes stacked, like that is amazing and awesome. And you might want to get there at some point, but most of the time what you need are basic things that you can do day in and day out that are habitual. And those are the things that are going to keep you healthy for life, right? And keep you around, for my clients, for your kids. And then when you've got that foundation, you can start thinking about pushing it, right? You can start thinking about those things that maybe carry a little more risk, but help you in your progress, or honestly are just fun. So
yeah,
for me, this as far as a practical measure, there are three parts for me.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the foundation is what I do most of the time. I do it every weekday, and that's the core balance class that I do. I actually do 3 classes because I'm teaching all 3, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And there's zero equipment. We're just on the floor, doing Superman and crunches and planks and inchworms and stuff like that, where you need zero equipment. You don't even need a pull-up bar to pull yourself up. No bands, no straps, no nothing. And I do that. So again, 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, there's 15 hours. The average person doesn't need to do that. I just do it because I teach 3 classes. And then, so that's layer 1.
Mm-hmm.
Layer 2 that I build upon that, it's very structured. And I just started it back up again because the gyms are just opening up now. And I think I'm only going to do 1 a week. I'm going to do 1 weightlifting session a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that's on Sundays. Now you can lift twice, 3 times. And it depends on how heavy you lift and, how many exercises you're doing and stuff like that. But, with the volume of work that I'm doing during the week, I think 1 weightlifting per week is plenty. My third little cherry on top is the fun stuff. So like last Saturday, I went and played basketball. If I want to go on a hike or a run or play with the kids, or that's kind of a little bit less structured, but it's something that I want to be able to do if, it's time. Oh, let's go to the park. Cool. Yeah, let's go. So for me personally, that's sort of the ratio. And one more thing too, in the core training that I do every weekday, there's a lot of stretching. There's a lot of, just sitting there, in like a quad stretch, holding that ankle for like a minute. And it takes a lot of recovery to cancel out one of those big, heavy weightlifting workouts.
Mm-hmm.
And I think what I've noticed as I've gotten a little older, is the ratio shifts, right? So I do fewer weightlifting and I do a lot more recovery. And so, right now, the way I structured it, it's like 15 to 1.
Yeah.
Right? 15 hours of recovery to 1 hour of weights. It doesn't necessarily have to be that much, but I just like that ratio. I think I love core. I love flexibility. So what about you? What's your sort of, how do you balance all these different things as far as recovery, strength,
Yeah, no, I'm sort of with you. I just think of it as there's like the foundation that you build the same way. We call it daily Kickstarter, and we do the 100 XD, stands for 100 reps every day. Those are the 2 key things that I do. It's like 15, 20 minutes. And then dynamic stretching, static stretching before and after respectively, and some breathing, right? And those are really, really key, sort of like a holistic view of it. But that's the foundation, right? And that foundation, with a foundation like that, then you can do more intense weight training. You can do, running, biking, swimming, triathlon stuff. You can do sports. And then you can do the crazy fun stuff, right? And I think it's very similar. I sort of break it into 2 levels, whereas you have 3. But it's the same thing, right? Everything else you're doing is to prepare you, is to allow you to be able to do that fun stuff without getting hurt, and be able to do the things that you wanted to do or used to do, or the things you've always wanted to do. And I think that there's a rush to go do that thing without stepping back and saying, what shape should I be in to do it? And I'm not saying don't go do that thing, but be mindful about where you're at when you go, whatever it is, right? When you go for that long run or that hike, or play a sport or something. And that recovery piece is crucial, right? I think there's so much focus in the health and fitness industry in general on crush it at the gym, work out hard, run your knees off,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, if your ankles and feet aren't killing you, then you're not doing enough. When really the most effective stuff is these little doses of effective exercise with a host of other things: your nutrition, your sleep, your stretching, your breathing, all of these other pieces that actually come in and make you healthy and take advantage of that movement practice that you have sort of baked into your day or into your week. One thing I'll add is on the weightlifting side. I think it's to me, there's sort of no right way, right? There can be 1 day a week, like you mentioned. And for some clients, that's what I say, like, oh, just do it 1 day a week or 2 days a week, and do a full body thing. You can lift weights every day, right? You can do a 5-day split and get plenty of recovery and really focus. If building muscle and strength is important to you, then you might want to do more of that, right? Or if it's something you love, go for it. I think that's the cool part is when you have that foundation, then you layer on the more challenging or more intense stuff. You can do it in a lot of different ways and just enjoy it, right? Make it something you love so that you want to do more of it. I think that's super important. Getting back to the, no pain, no gain. You shouldn't dread your next workout. You shouldn't dread your next run. You should be super excited, and it should make you feel good, because that means you're doing something right. Not to say you don't push yourself, just that you should feel good about it and look forward to it.
Yeah. And then on the other hand, you shouldn't be thinking about your workout on Saturday morning as you try to sit down on the toilet. Your workout that was on Tuesday, and you're still feeling it on Saturday. That's not good. You should not be feeling 4 days of soreness. That's too much, right? I think for me, I talk to my clients about this is you only need to know two things, or you only need to do two things. One is you need to think about where am I right now? And then two, you take the next step up. That's it. Like that's literally fitness in a nutshell. Where am I? How can I take the next step? So you can see that on a micro level. Like, for example, I don't know, what version of a push-up can I do? And let's say, for example, you're doing push-ups from the knees, right? And let's say you're doing 10 push-ups from the knees. Okay, great. Let's try to do 11. Let's try to do 15. Let's try to do somewhere in that range, push-ups from the knees. And then when you can do like 20 to 30, it's like, all right, well, maybe we can now try doing push-ups from the feet, but maybe just 5, and then ramp up from there. And that's literally it. Like, the assessment, where am I? And then let's take one step. So that's on a micro level. On a macro level, it might be something like, like what I just mentioned, like how many days a week am I doing my foundation? How many days and how hard am I doing weights? For example, when COVID first hit us, right, in March, I wasn't working out with my clients. I would stand there in the gym before, and I would tell, I'd walk around and correct their form and stuff and like, okay, try this, da, 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 da. And I realized really quickly that obviously I can't do that, but that if my video is going constantly, then they can just look up and see, oh, what are we doing now? Oh, that's what we're doing. So that's why I do 3 workouts in a row for all, 7, 8, 9 clients. This is crazy. Like when I tell people how slow the body is to respond, and how you really need to sort of plateau at one level until your body really gets used to it. It took me 2.5 months to adapt to doing 3 hours a day.
Wow.
And literally before that, I would finish those 3, I'd finish the rest of my clients, and I would sleep for 2 hours. I was done. I was wiped. And now I feel like finally, like we're 6 months into it. Now I feel like 3 hours it's nothing to me. And that's not like an arrogant, confident place to be. It's just like, well, yeah, of course it's nothing because I've done it for 6 months, right?
Yeah.
So if someone were to come and, a friend of mine from out of town, let's say, and say, hey, Chris, I want to spend the day with you. I want to work out with you. I'd say, well, that wouldn't be a good idea because you haven't been doing 2 or 3 hours a day. Why would you try 3 hours a day? That's crazy. So again, those 2 steps, where am I now? What's the next step? And then get used to that next step.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's so important. And it just gets lost, right?
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of pressure, right? The marketing is 6 packs, get jacked, right? The, or simple, take this pill.
Yeah.
In the next, overnight, you're going to look completely different. You're going to totally transform. And I think that gives people just a false sense of what's healthy. And I think, that when we talk about it realistically, and we talk about what are the truly healthy things to do, and what affects your longevity, and what affects your blood work and all of that, then you start to return to some sort of like sane health and fitness um, programming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or it's not crazy and it does work. Health and fitness can't just work for some minuscule percentage of the population who happens to spend most of their time in the gym and it's their only focus, right?
And be on steroids and 20 years old.
Yeah. I think it's super important to sort of shift and like reframe how we all collectively view health and fitness. That it's something that is a huge point of leverage across all of your life: work, family, kids, hobbies, health, obviously, right? But and that it's the type of thing that makes you happy and makes you perform better and is super important and is like a value. You should value it beyond aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
And the aesthetics parts are there too. Those are important as well. But really giving it like a why, right? Like why you're doing it. I'm doing it for my kids. I'm doing it to be an example. I'm doing it to work better. I'm doing it to think more clearly. I'm doing it not to fall when we get old type of stuff.
Right.
I think that's super critical.
Well, I talk about this too, that no matter what your profession is, it relies on your body being in tip-top shape. Even if you're an accountant, an attorney, anything like that, if your body's not in tip-top shape, your brain's not going to be functioning properly. You're not going to have that energy to sustain the effort that is needed to become successful. And then I think, and that's all kind of internal, right? Internal drive type of stuff. But there's even that external part, right? Like you mentioned, the physical appearance is sort of a byproduct of getting healthy, right? That if you are, up to snuff as far as achieving your potential with your fitness, you're going to look good. You're going to look healthy. You're going to look happy and positive, and you're going to have this spring in your step, right? And let's just say hypothetically, you're looking for an accountant, and you interview one guy, and he's 100 pounds overweight, and he looks like he hates his life, and then the other guy who's like smiling and happy and looks fit and spry. It may be unfair, but that's just what we do. We're going to kind of tend toward the guy who's, wow, this guy's on it, man. He's taking care of himself. He's happy. He's energetic. And then I think there's always this too. Again, it may or may not be fair. Like, I'm not here to judge fairness, but I think we all do it if we're honest. If somebody can't take care of their own physical body, how's that going to transfer into the rest of their life, right? And I really like that kind of sphere of influence. It's like, take care of what you can within your own control, and then, achieve some victories. I always say your health goal is your number one goal because it's the one you have the most control over. Achieve this victory, and then branch out to your family and try to achieve some victories in your family. And then if you're one of the rare ones who has that all polished up and you have the desire to go even bigger, all right, great. You might be the next community leader, right? Political leader or something. Go for it. Take that next sphere of influence. But I think working from the outside in, trying to like fix all these things out here when we don't have our own house in order can be, I think can be very stressful, because like you're operating on no energy. And, there's also that like, do as I say, not as I do, right? I know I don't have my own act in order, but I'm trying to help you get your act in order, right?
Yep, for sure. No, and that's something, I don't know where this quote originates, but how you do one thing is how you do everything.
Yeah, I love that.
I don't know if that's exactly right, and I'm so guilty of this across the board in health and fitness and professionally and home, but I love that quote because I think that captures, look, if you're not taking care of yourself, there's all these other areas of your life you're not taking care of. And similarly, you might be taking care of yourself, but if you're not doing right by your kids or your family or your work or your spirit or whatever it is, that's affecting all these other things. And I think that, to neglect any one area, and especially health and fitness, like you just said, you end up with that imbalance, and that it can really negatively affect you. And the fact that health and fitness is so tied to our psyche, our mood, our mental performance, our emotional state, I think it's one of those critical ones that to your point, if you're not working on it and handling it appropriately, it's showing up everywhere else for you.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
Absolutely.
And that's not to judge people, or it shows up for me, right? Like,
sure,
this is what I focus on, and I think that's crucial, right?
Yeah.
To get yourself in shape, figuratively and physically.
Yeah. And I need to be clear too. There's no judgment. There's no judgment. There's no guilt, no shame. And everything that I just mentioned a few minutes ago, I've gone through it myself. I've been overweight, I've been underweight, I've been injured, all that stuff. And it really is a choice that we have. And I understand some people have more of a choice than others. For example, if you're a paraplegic, you don't have as many choices. And, I can't necessarily speak to what it's like to be paraplegic, but, we all do our best, right? We all do our best with where we are. And I think the key, we got to wrap it up in a minute, but I think the key that I would like to end on is, again, go figure out where you are and take one step. I think that's key. Even if in your mind you're thinking, oh man, but I'm like so far down here. You are where you are, and it's all, and that's the thing too. You are where you are, and don't judge it. Just be where you are and take the next step. It's like, if you want to go to New York City, and I'm in San Jose and you're in New Mexico, right?
Yep.
We're pretty far from New York City, but if we sit and sulk and say, oh, I'm so far from New York City and I want to get to New York City, we just wasted some time. And we also put ourselves in a negative mindset. So I think it's really important to just go, just head east and just go.
Yeah. For sure, man. I love that framework. Great.
Cool. So a couple things. Did you sign up for any of the fitness roundtables that we're going to be doing?
Oh, I looked and I couldn't find one that worked.
Okay,
so
I will. That's right. Okay, so I think we need to start promoting this. So if you guys have made it this long in the video, then you're interested in what Soren and I have to say. Post your question down below, your number one most burning fitness question. And when Soren and I are on again, we're going to answer that question. So post that question here and we'll definitely get to it. So anything else? You good?
Nothing for me. Great talking with you, man.
Yeah, you too. We'll get this back in about a month. This is a good monthly habit, and then we'll get that. I want to do that call-in show too, the live. People just calling in, asking us questions. I think it'd be great.
I think there's so much out there, but the ability for someone to just call in and be like, hey, this is what I'm up against. Make the recommendations and people can go away with it. I think would be so helpful. I think I would want to call.
Yeah. You'd be like, I'll be right back. And then you call
hold on, just give me a second.
Soren, what's your website again? So we can give that.
fitdaddy365.com. Find me on Instagram, fitdaddy365, LinkedIn, search Soren Harrison, probably fitdaddy365 shows up as well.
Cool.
And any questions or anything, email me, Soren@fitdaddy365.com.
Awesome. All right, Soren. Good talking with you again, and we will chat soon.
See you, man. Talk to you later on.
Thanks for listening to the Health in the Real World show. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Visit mycorebalance.com to learn more.